Welcome to a new episode of the Pinnacle Combat Sports Podcast. Dan, how you doing today, buddy?
Good, man. How are you?
I'm good. Some good fights yesterday, even though I had to wake up at the ass crack of dawn to watch them. Because I'm on the West Coast, so...
6 a.m. first fight for you?
Yeah, the first prelim was at 6 a.m.
Dude, that sucks.
Yeah,
That's usually when I'm up anyway, but still sucks.
Yeah, me too. And what I did was I was like, okay, well, I might miss the first fight because I'm not waking up earlier than 6. So my alarm went off. I took a shower, and by the time I got down there, the first fight was just starting at like 6:15, and I was like, perfect. Okay, great, awesome.
Oh, nice, yeah. Yeah, because East Coast, that was like the one perfect time a sporting event starts at, like the ideal time for me.
Yeah, that must have been great. Yeah.
Main card at noon. Yeah, it was great. I love those.
Before we get into that card, though, there's a couple things. There's a couple announced fights that we were just talking about before we pressed record. We have Kevin Holland, I think, wants to fight 100 times this year. And he has a new fight, and he's fighting on UFC London against Gunnar Nelson. What do you think about that one?
That's cool. Gunnar Nelson's been out for a bit. It's been a while since I've seen him, it feels like.
Yeah.
I don't know when his last. I have to look it up. What's the date on that one, Jim?
UFC London is March 22nd.
Nice. Oh yeah, that Leon Edwards and Jack Della Maddalena. That's a crazy main event.
Yeah, it's gonna be good. And also on that is Jan Blachowicz and Carlos Olberg is the co-main.
Oh, that one slipped by me. I didn't see that one.
Mick Parkin, you know, what's his name's buddy? Tom Aspinall's buddy, Mick Parkin.
See him, yeah.
He's fighting Tybura. Marcin Tybura. That should be good.
Okay.
Molly McCann, obviously. Alonzo Menafield and Umar Sy.
Yeah, no, this is a good card.
Lone Kavanaugh.
This far yet. Nathaniel Wood and Morgan Charrier will be really good. Wow. Yeah. Okay, that's a cool card. Let me see what time that starts at. Yep, nice. 12 o'clock prelims, 3 o'clock main card. That's perfect, Jim. See, that's pretty much the same hours I had yesterday. Will be for you. It'll be for you for that one.
Yeah.
9 and 12. That's cool. All right. I like those ones.
What was the other one? Oh, the other one was Vittori Dolidze.
That card hasn't really, not a whole lot, on that card yet. Just 2 fights. Good ones, but...
Well, I'm on MMA Junkie, so they're showing me more than that.
What do they got?
What do they got here? Sam Hughes and Stephanie Luciano.
Okay.
They have Ryan Spann and Waldo Cortez Acosta.
Okay.
AJ Cunningham and Su Young Yu. And then Andre Lima and Daniel Beres.
That's the other one that I see. I just see Vittori Dolidze and Fares and Lima. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So yeah, both of those fights should be pretty good. I feel like I'm missing one. I feel like they announced something else, and I saw it, a week ago, and I just forget. But yeah, those two are pretty good. I'm looking forward to that. And then the other thing we got to talk about, which I mentioned briefly before we hit record, was Bryce Mitchell went on a little questionable rant the other day on his podcast. I guess it was his first episode of his podcast, and that's how he decided to use his time. Did you
something light, something real light,
something light to pull people in,
But that's it'd be an awkward segue where we're like, and he's going to be on our podcast, so explain himself. That's how bad it's gotten for him.
Yeah, right. Oh my God.
Yeah, what an idiot for that. I mean, he's got to be a little more measured, my friend.
Yeah, but for those who don't,
it's also good.
Yeah, no, it's good.
People have such bad of opinion, and it comes out like good. Now we know.
See, that's why the argument, and again, this is not a political podcast, but the argument for free speech that's a perfect argument. Let these idiots say what they're going to say so that everybody else knows who they are and what they think.
Act accordingly from there.
And then you do what you wish with them. And I hope Dana White gives them a really tough opponent coming up.
Oh, Jesus.
That'd be funny if
Yeah,
they
who's it gonna be?
completely rebooked him and and what's his name? And just no, what the hell's his name that knocked him out like cold, like horribly?
Josh Emmett.
Josh Emmett. Just rebook that. That's it. Just
Yep.
rebook it, and then you'll know exactly how Dana White and the UFC feels about what you said.
I say give him Chimaev.
Oh, break his jaw
Kidding, of
real
course.
quick.
No, we don't. No, there's people at his own weight class that it's so lopsided. I can't imagine several weight classes underneath it. But
Yeah.
no, it's just it's unfortunate when that happens. But like I said, I always kind of lean that way. Someone says something so stupid, I like the people have the freedom to say what they really feel because it's like, okay, man, that's a that's an interesting take. Okay, you're not Conway. You're not going to be able to get through this one.
Yeah. Well, he did. He also, he came back with I guess, a response to what
Oh, he
everybody's
did.
been saying, and I guess I could read that right now, real quick. He said, "I'm sorry, I sounded insensitive. I definitely was not trying to offend anybody, but I know I did. I know that a lot of people died in the Holocaust, and that's a fact. Hitler did a lot of evil things. I think we can all agree on that. I'm definitely not a Nazi, and definitely do not condone any of the evil things Hitler did." That's all he said. So,
It's like that's all cool, but basically the way it reads to me is that you just want to do something controversial, so people are talking about you and they realize, this dude has something going on, and then like good, bad, or indifferent, you're gonna have people listening to you. So I just feel like it's kind of like a weasel way to get listeners. It's like, do you really want that, or do you want to build something honestly? You know,
yeah, well, that's
that's
why
kind of how it.
you leave it up to the people to see right through that stuff, hopefully. And
Yeah, yeah, hopefully. But you know how it is. You're still gonna get people listening to you just because people like to be upset. A lot of people, for whatever reason, like I'll never listen to anything he has. Um,
no, yeah,
that's pretty fair. You know what I mean? Like, why
yeah,
would I listen to anything you have to say when there's like Theo Vaughn out there? I'll listen to his shit because it actually, when he says outlandish shit, it just comes from just a silly place.
yeah,
It's not like you know what I mean? He doesn't mean anything by it. But it's like when you come out and say something so ridiculously dumb,
and
it's just, yeah,
hurtful, and hurtful. There's a lot of people
yeah.
out there
Oh, for
like,
sure.
like
I
for
didn't get that
example,
reaction. So I forget about that.
Jan Blachowicz, he messaged or he tweeted or something. I don't know. He said, "Oh, well, I can bring you around Poland and show you exactly all. I can give you all the education you need. We'll just take a walk around the city, and I'll show you
Yep.
where all these people they just lost their lives, and this and that, and I can give you a real good education of what happened there because you might not know, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so I don't know. We don't have to continue on with him anymore because that's just a waste of our time. But let's talk about the fights yesterday. What did you? Let's start with. All right. Let's start with the main event.
Man. Yeah.
And this is a tough one because I texted you right after, or not long after, saying
Wow.
this might be the end of an era, and not
Yeah.
just with Izzy, but with a lot of guys in his time. Like there was a picture floating around Instagram of him, Kamaru Usman, and Volkanovski hanging out at a party however many years ago, 2020 or 2021, 2019, and they all had stellar records. It was like 20 something and one. It showed all the records above their head, and then it showed
Yeah.
the same picture in their records since then. And I think Kamaru's 0-3. I think Izzy's 0-3, and Volk is like 1-4 or something like that.
Mhm.
And yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. Like, I mean, we've been talking since we've been doing this. We haven't been doing it long. We've always been talking about how these young kids are coming up, and it's just that they've been learning MMA as a whole since they were like 5 years old.
Yeah.
And a lot of these guys they've been looking up to like their whole young adult lives, and now they're coming in with all that knowledge and more, and inventing stuff and all that stuff. So, and also in the past couple weeks, we've seen a lot of people lose their undefeated records. So it's not as cut and dry as people might think it is. And that's why I think we love MMA, because you never know what's going to happen. And any night could be your night, you know? Um, so I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. What did you think about the performance? And if you want to add to what I said, I just want to know what you think about what happened.
It, it was you just can't take anything away from his great performance. It's like you feel the only reason I feel sour is because of how much of a fan I am of Adesanya. He's just so cool, and he's just one of those guys that just another one of those guys that took it to another level, and he didn't have to like do anything too crazy as far as like disrespect to people or like acted out. He was just himself, and he's just an awesome. You can just tell he's just an awesome dude, like very charismatic naturally, and so you like drawn to him. So other than that, but kind of like you said, all these new guys are like A, they're younger, B, they probably started doing this before you, and now they're in a position where they're like primed for like their like true peak in their like what's it like potential, and they're also as they're coming up through the ranks, you're the guy that they're studying, because if you're the champ while someone's coming up, they're constantly watching you,
Yeah,
so
you're
they
the
know you so
benchmark.
well by the time. Yeah. So now it's like just because he wasn't champ, that doesn't mean that wasn't like a title fight for Imavov in a lot of ways, because that's who he was looking at as the champion as he's rising up. Um, so I always think about that, and then it's just I think you already had touched on it, but it's just there's too many guys at that level now that I don't think there's really anyone that's going to hold these titles all too long in most divisions. There's always going to be dominant champions. That's just, there's always going to be an Islam Makhachev, and trying to think of like the biggest names right now doing it as far as like domination.
Well,
'Cause there hasn't been
Marab dominated his last fight. He looked
that's
great.
true. He is new. He is new title holder, but yeah, he has dominated. But he's been doing that for so long. So it's like you see a couple of these guys, yeah, they can do it, but you know, it's so tough to maintain when you're the guy with the target on your back. Was it GSP that said it, or was it Matt Hughes? I think
Oh,
it was.
GSP was. He said
I think they both might have said it.
having that title for so long, like, gave him depression. Remember, he had like a real hard time being the champ. And
Yeah,
actually, a lot of people, I think Kamaru Usman was one of them too. When
they
they
say
lose,
similar thing.
yeah, when they lose the title, they say it's a huge weight off my shoulders, and I feel
Yeah,
great for losing the
yeah.
championship. Yeah,
Like I think Usman said it, GSP said it. I think Matt Hughes said it when GSP finally beat him.
yeah.
But it's like also another good point would be talking about those guys was like when Matt Hughes won that first one and kind of got GSP, I think it was the first time.
Mm-hmm.
And then GSP had talked about how much he was in awe of his hero. You don't really see that as much anymore. They might be your idol and your hero, but these guys coming up do not really have that awe and shocked look once they get to their big moment as much. You know what I mean?
Well,
That's another thing.
I don't know. I think
Like,
Imavov. I think I felt like maybe not as much, but I think Imavov knew what this meant for not only for his career, but that I think he looked up to Adesanya his whole
no, he
fighting
definitely
career,
did.
and
I
he
just don't
knew.
think he fought like it. You know what I mean? He looked like he looked great.
Oh no, yeah,
He's
he didn't
dangerous.
fight like it. He knows he can't
Yeah,
fight like
yeah.
it. Oh, the
I
only
know,
one
but
we saw like
that's what
that.
GSP had said. You know what I mean? That's what GSP. Matt Hughes got him. GSP said he was kind of in awe that he was fighting him the first time.
Oh,
It's like I just don't. You know what I mean? Like, and then you see what GSP becomes. It's just like it's wild. It's just funny how even the game's like evolved in that way too. I
yeah,
think
yeah.
in a weird way. But sorry, what were you gonna say?
Um, I don't remember. No,
I'm sorry.
I, you know, yeah, I guess he didn't fight that way. But I agree with you. I think Imavov saw this as like a title fight for him. If he could beat Izzy, he could beat almost anybody. And I agree.
Exactly. Yeah. 100%.
But like I was saying,
How old is he?
how old is he?
Yeah,
I don't think it will tell me here.
29. So he's still at a dude. He's still at a perfect age to be hitting this peak.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So he most likely gets winner then, I would imagine, right? Of next weekend's fight.
Well,
Pretty safe to say.
well, as we've been talking about for a while, the middleweight division's kind of weird because you have obviously this fight, you have next week's fight, Sean Strickland and Duplessis, and then you have Chimaev, who,
Yeah.
you know, Chimaev would be the only other one, and he is a beast, and he's exciting, and I think people want to see him go for the title. But I think if it were me, I think Imavov beating Adesanya earns the title shot. Like
I
that
agree.
seems like the purest version of what should happen next. But in terms of selling tickets, I completely understand. It wouldn't be surprising if they gave it to Khamzat Chimaev first.
Yeah. Okay. I would see that too. But all right. Here's my prediction. Next weekend, the fight's so close again. It's a draw. They have to run back a rubber match, and then they're going to do Imavov and Chimaev. What that?
That'd be crazy. I don't think it's going to be one. I think it's going to be a one-sided fight. I don't think that's going to happen.
We'll get into that later on then. I'm curious to hear that. All right. So what else we got, Jimbo?
All right. So I think we should spend just a little bit more time on this because Adesanya has done so much. And I'm not trying to take away from what Imavov did, obviously, but I don't know. I want, you know what? Just playing off of something you said earlier, how Israel Adesanya became as big as he did because of who he is. I think that's really important because he's always been humble in victory and loss and defeat.
Big time.
Especially like you could tell when he went into his fight yesterday that it was an important fight for him. You know, he was not only like he was holding on to his legacy last night, and I bet he felt that a loss yesterday was gonna end something for him as well. And he went in very like ready to go. He fought really well. That's the thing that's the toughest thing about his last two losses is that he looked great. He He just got caught on both times. And
I think Imavov got him. I think he kind of got him a little bit in the first, if I remember right.
Yeah,
but it wasn't like, so he got, he got touched a couple times, but it's like, that's just how, I think it's just like you said, you don't want to take away from Imavov, so we don't have to. He looked great. And there's not a lot of guys that can do it to Adesanya because there have been a lot of guys that have stood in front of Adesanya and done nothing and just kind of been frozen by just how good he is,
Yeah. Huh.
So man, you can't understand. You really can't because he's going to get the next, like he's going to get a big fight. I don't know if he'll get a title shot next. He does deserve it and it should be next. But like you said, Chimaev is there. So we'll see how that works out. But I say give Imavov the shot because if he's as good as I think he is, he might be the next champion. And then that sets up a fight with Chimaev, which would be, that sounds great. Especially to have title implications. It's like, why would you want one of those guys to knock each other off the rung? Don't you want to wait till maybe they both get to one's a champion and one can be the challenger? Because that could be easily, if you give Chimaev the next shot after this, I think Chimaev beats both those guys, in my opinion. So, like talking Strickland and Duplessis.
Yeah.
So, I think if he does what I think he would, that would also set up the same thing. So it all depends on who's ready first.
Well, I was just going to say it depends on how the fight goes next week because wasn't the first fight between Strickland and Duplessis, like Duplessis was beat up pretty good, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I gotta rewatch it because a lot of people I think thought Strickland had won, and I just don't remember it that vividly. So I knew I was going to watch it this week because we'll do something coming up for the podcast. So I will because I'm going to probably watch the countdown today.
But wasn't that the one where Duplessis was sitting at the post press conference and he just visibly looked beat up?
Yes, I believe so. I believe so.
So if
it doesn't tell you everything, but
No, I'm not saying in terms of winning or losing. I'm just saying like let's say it goes exactly the way it did and he gets beat up.
I see what you're saying.
Like okay, he might have to take a couple months off. Then like Imavov is probably fine. He could probably fight tomorrow, and then Chimaev's been sitting for a little while. They could easily do that fight first, which would set up for the number one contender fight for whoever wins next week. It just depends on how, if someone needs to sit out for medical reasons or not, when
Sure.
they could set
But
up the next fight for the title.
that's fine with me. You just better make that 5 rounds.
Yeah, you have to.
I can't
Absolutely, yeah.
stand when it's like, well, it's on a pay-per-view main card. I'm like, yeah, but it's the middle fight. It's the third fight of the main card, so it's just 3 rounds. It's like we need more. You should have known
Yeah,
that an
yeah,
Usman Maya fight should have been 5 rounds,
yeah.
in my opinion. You know what I mean? So they were always talking about them fighting when Usman was champion. How many rounds would it have been? So make it. I wish they would just like kind of. I don't know if they have the power to do that, but I think like at any time when they need it, they think they should have 5 rounds for a fight. Make it that way. Doesn't have to be a main event, but I don't know if they can even do that. But how
Yeah.
that works, I don't understand. But
I'm sure they could.
I'm just hoping it's 5. Just make sure that's 5. That should be 5.
Well, absolutely.
Either way.
I think if it's a number one contender spot for a title, it should always be 5 as well.
Agree.
But if it's a number one contenders fight, you would think it'd be main or co-main event of whatever card it's on. So that's another thing, unless it's on like a really big card. But yeah, I mean, number one contenders fights should be 5 rounds as well. But yeah, let's move on to the. Oh, and something I didn't mention was back to Adesanya. That was his first non-title fight in 6 years, which is crazy as well. He's a legend, man. He's one of the best middleweights to ever live. He's going to be in the Hall of Fame, no doubt about it. So regardless of what happens from here on out with his career, dude, there's so many people that love that guy. He's going to be fine.
Still the only man to beat who in UFC? That's a big thing too.
Alex Pereira.
Yep.
Chama.
Only guy. Yeah. Dude, I love both those guys. They're both awesome in their own way. It's great.
Yeah. All right, let's
both just themselves.
Yeah, of course, yeah. Let's move on to the co-main. What did you think? Shara Bullet lost to 0, his O. Michael Venom Page looked pretty good. I don't know. What did you think about that? I want to hear what you thought about how the fight went.
I kind of had a feeling it was going to be like that. Not like the most exciting fight, but that just shows, dude, Venom Page is he's the last guy you want to play tag with. He's so weird. I don't know how he gets off a lot of those shots. Like it was fine. I don't know. I was kind of hoping a little more action, but I think it's just kind of tough. I think he makes you freeze a lot and second guess yourself a lot. Like that Kevin Holland fight was kind of tough to watch. You felt really bad because it just looked like it was one of those true like levels fights.
Yeah.
But what'd you think of it? It was fine. It was a good performance. I just thought I was kind of hoping for a little more.
Yeah. My thoughts were some of these fighters, they have one really good thing that they do better than other people, and I think MVP's one of those guys that just his style's so weird, and he's very tall and lanky, and he uses distance really well, and he loves to be in the center of the octagon, and he likes to lunge and create chaos. Yeah. But the thing I don't like about MVP is that that's all I see from him. I don't think he sets anything up. I'm not saying he can't. I'm not saying he never, obviously when he was in Bellator, was it Bellator? Yeah. He was knocking people out all the time. But now it's I don't know. Like yesterday, it just seemed like he wanted to do just enough to get the points to win the fight. Like I never thought he was trying to win the fight, like actually take him out. I thought he was trying to do just enough to win the rounds and lunging in and hitting him a couple times and then going right back to the center of the octagon, creating that distance and doing it all over again. Now that's not to say that he couldn't have gotten lucky and knocked him out. I shouldn't say get lucky, but he couldn't have connected and knocked him out. But he looked like a very one-trick pony type of fighter yesterday, and that bothers me. And I don't know how far he'll get in the division if that's his game plan. Um, and all Shara had to do was keep walking forward and not let MVP dictate what he did, and he would have probably done really well. So it's just aggravating watching it, but MVP did exactly what he does, and
Yeah.
because I think Shara is a young fighter, and this is his first like really big test. Yeah, I don't know.
It just shows how good Ian Gary is then as a striker because he kind of dealt with him like no one's been able to really in the UFC yet with
Yeah,
Michael Venom Page.
yeah, but they're very similar styles, kinda.
Sure, it's kind of more. I thought Shara Bullet. I guess I'm saying I thought he was going to get to him a little more and be able to. That's all. I know how difficult he is, but like, what are you trying to tell me? Chimaev's not gonna play that game. So you're eventually going to get to these guys that then you'll really see like then the styles will really clash. Because imagine Chimaev and MVP. It'd be
Oh wait, are
like
they
Chimaev's not gonna.
middleweight or is that welterweight?
They're both middleweight, right? Isn't Chimaev up now? I'm pretty sure. So is MVP. There's no way. Shara
Oh yeah,
Bullet,
it is. Yeah, it is middleweight.
welterweight.
For some reason, I thought MVP was
Okay,
welterweight.
he was in Bellator for sure. I think that's what he made most of his fights in UFC have been 85, I think. But either way, that's you're gonna have to beat a guy like that.
Yeah.
Or like Imavov and MVP would be eventually a really fun see how that works. But
Exactly. Yeah.
that's the beauty of like MMA. You might be frustrated with certain styles, but everything kind of works itself out. Like you can't do that to everyone. So like you said, you're gonna have to have some new wrinkles, or someone's gonna find you out. I think at that level, because Bellator he wasn't fighting the same skill level at all.
Yeah,
So that's
for
why he was
sure.
probably stopping people more. They're still professional fighters, but the UFC just has like the talent pool in the UFC,
The cream of the
especially
crop.
nowadays. Dude, it's crazy. That doesn't mean that every single champion and every single fighter is always better. It just means we're talking about, the top dog with so much quality. It's not like it used to be, where there were like quote unquote easier fights. That doesn't exist as much at all
Yeah.
in these weight classes now, which we kind of keep always talking about, but it's important.
Yeah,
It's true,
which is why you need to be well-rounded.
very much, especially
Because
now.
they always used to say styles make fights. Well, styles don't make fights if if everyone's well-rounded. If everyone can
Sure,
perform at every, no matter where the fight goes, then it doesn't matter if you're a wrestler or you started out with Muay Thai or boxing or whatever. Like, okay, we'll bring your Muay Thai. That guy's going to be able to handle it, or at least mostly handle it.
for sure, for sure.
And that's
And
what
it's like,
did. You, sorry, go ahead.
oh, sorry, sorry. So he was doing the Adesanya. His takedown defense looked good. So it's almost like maybe
Yeah,
maybe that's why he got caught in the feet. He was thinking it might be a little more. I thought that's what Imavov was going to do, mix it up, and maybe maybe he thought something else was coming, and that's how that right hand landed because there wasn't anything behind it. So maybe it was just what the kind of the mind game within it, like
yeah,
Imavov giving him some takedowns to look because Adesanya defended him well in the first, and I was like, all right, nice, it looked good, and cause that's what I was worried about. I thought Imavov might try to get him to the ground, especially after he lost by submission previous. I thought that he might try to like implement that to his own game plan,
yeah.
and it seemed like maybe he was trying to, but man, yeah, still feel bad.
Yeah.
Adesanya's the man,
But
but
what I was gonna say, before was, did you happen to listen to Yuri on the Rogan podcast by any chance?
yes, that was good. That was good.
So one thing that he said, which ties into what we were just talking about, was he wants to walk into a fight with all the confidence that no matter where it goes, that he can handle himself. And I think
Mhm.
that's when you look at the best fighters in the world, they are well-rounded. They're not one-trick ponies. Like they might excel in one area more than the others,
Mhm.
like immediately what I thought of was Islam Makhachev, because no matter where you go in that fight, he's going to be fine. He can stand with you. He can grapple, obviously. He can wrestle. He can do everything. Same with like I know we're staying with 155, but Charles Oliveira I think is another good one. Like he's an amazing. He's probably his best is probably his jiu-jitsu, but he can wrestle. He can box. He can stand with you. He's great with leg kicks. Like I think every fighter should be trying to fill out all of their expertise. You know, like they should get good at all those things. And when it comes to MVP, like he's a really great like taekwondo karate fighter, but I don't know. I want to see more. I don't want to see, because we used to see people like, you know, who's like who's that guy? He's a judge now. He was in the Ultimate Fighter, the kind of crazy dude. Oh, Chris Lieben, right?
Yes. Okay.
Like he was notorious for just running in and throwing fists. He would put his head down and he would just start throwing. And then we saw when you go up against a guy like Anderson Silva, he just pieces you up on your way in. You know, like it doesn't matter.
Make it
right?
easy for him.
I just don't want to see, like, because I like MVP. I like his persona. I like his confidence. I like how he has that little, you know, the snake thing and everything. I like that. I think it's fun. All right. But if you don't break the top 10, like, what does it matter? Like, it's, you know, I mean, I just don't want to see you be the gatekeeper, bro. Like, I want to see more from you. I want to see you start knocking some people out, you know, but once you hit that top 10 in the UFC, that's a different beast. And I don't think you're going to do it with your, and I would hope that every strategy for every fight is different because you're fighting someone else. You're fighting a different person. But if that's your strategy, I don't know. Not that I could do any better. I shouldn't even be criticizing his strategy. Someone who's been doing it for his whole life probably. But I don't know. I just didn't. I was expecting more. That was the fight I was most looking forward to. And it just didn't do it for me.
Yeah, same. I could agree.
I was expecting more from both of them. I was expecting a lot more out of Shara Bullet too. I wanted his confidence and energy to show through in his performance, and I don't feel like it did until like the last 3 minutes of the fight. And yeah, I don't know. I think he just finally something clicked, and he's like, I can't worry about what he's going to do. And then when he started moving forward and like not caring what MVP was doing, got some success towards the end of the third round. And I just wish he figured that out like at the beginning of the second.
That's true. No, yeah. I definitely don't disagree. I agree with what you're saying. Like it's also more because like someone we just talked about, like Chimaev, someone like that. Like I don't see either. There's a lot of fighters I don't see that are getting a little too dangerously close to him. Whereas I don't think he's just someone who's that good. It's even like when Islam was coming up, and like when I would see Topuria get certain matchups, I was like, oh, I don't like that fight for that person because of just how well. That's another guy who's super well rounded because his jiu-jitsu is really good. He's just like Topuria also seems like he has a very well rounded game, and he's a nightmare to stand there with.
Yeah.
So it's very, very difficult to choose your path to victory with. That's why styles make fights, and that was a bad style matchup for Volkanovski. Because Volkanovski truly, they all have power. They're all, like, yeah, but he didn't have the same. Power wasn't different, wasn't equal in between those two. Yeah. So it looked like Volk constantly had to just play tag and get out of there. Couldn't hang anywhere too long. And that doesn't look like, it just looks like you're trying to survive. It doesn't look like you're trying to like push forward and take the win. It looks like you're just trying to stay alive out there, which is, I don't blame you at all, man. I'm watching the same. Like I was rooting for Volkanovski the first time around because he's the man too. That's just how it goes. You just like these guys and you just want to root for them. Doesn't mean you don't like the other guy, but you just kind of grow attached to certain guys because they're just so cool. But man, it's another one that just not to get off a different topic too much, but I can't wait to see what's next for him because I
Well,
always get excited when he's fighting now.
that was another one that came up. Well, people were talking about that there's a rumor that it's going to be them two again in Miami. I think Miami. Is it Miami? I think Miami.
Okay.
So that'll be. I mean, that makes sense for Volk. I mean, who did Volk
I just
fight
think
last?
I don't know. Did he have a fight in between?
I don't know. Let me check. Well, he's ranked number one, so
Because it was Islam, Topuria, and that's
no,
it.
that was his last fight. Was Taporia?
Okay, so three straight. Like so, you were right when you said that picture of 0-3. Okay, yeah. So it was Makachev, Topuria. I don't love that right back, but I mean, I don't hate it either. I understand. I just think there's so many big fights he could have that would be fun but I know he probably doesn't. He's not thinking that way. He wants to be champion again, so I get it. That's cool. It's good for Topuria. He can also put a stamp on it.
Well, I think
Even more so.
what they're thinking is Volkanovski. His only loss at featherweight is Taporia.
It's fair.
Other
It
than
is.
that, he's beaten everybody. So it wasn't Makachev. So he fought Yaya Rodriguez in between
Okay.
Makachev.
Okay. I
So,
forgot about that one. Okay.
but yeah, I mean, I don't know. I love Volkanovski too.
Yeah, I do. I
But
just don't like that matchup for him. So I just don't know. We'll see. I could be wrong. He could.
yeah,
It's what the greats
Taporia,
do. They come
man.
back and surprise you.
I
Taporia is
saw
something
the other
special too.
day or yesterday I think it was after the fights because they had a slap, what the hell they call it, slap fighting or whatever in Saudi
Oh
Arabia.
yeah,
So
yeah.
Dana White was there for that, and he said they're talking about doing an arena show in Spain. So like a
Slap fighting?
soccer stadium, like an arena.
The slap fighting or UFC?
No, like a UFC fight.
Okay, good, good. Okay. I was like, where's the slap that comes? Okay. I was like, please no.
So yeah, I mean, and I've heard some people online saying like I think Taporia just doesn't know what he wants to do next. Like he could fight Volk, obviously. He could probably move up and face Islam.
I think that's what's going to happen.
And if that's the case, and they're trying to get a stadium in Spain, that would have to be the fight, right?
Imagine.
Yeah,
So let's just say he goes out there and knocks Volkanovski out again. And he gets on the mic and goes, you and me, Islam in Spain. Come on, bro.
yeah,
That you got to do that.
yeah.
You got to do that.
Well, I just think it depends on when, like, if they're in talks with a stadium, like an arena right now, when they could get that arena. Maybe they're waiting to decide, like, okay, if the arena is going to happen in June or July or whatever, then maybe they won't even do Volk. They'll just go right to Taporia Islam in July or whatever. I don't know.
All depends on when.
Yeah, it depends on timing, right? So everything's timing. Because if you put Volk and Taporia in there and something happens and now Taporia wins, but he has a medical leave for 3 months because of injuries or whatever, or protocol, then you screwed your timing up for Spain,
Yeah, he's your reason why you're doing Spain in the first place. So
Exactly, yeah.
what date is that Miami one?
Let me look it
You
up.
know? The one that you're saying is like rumored for their fight?
No, that can't be right. April 12th.
Okay, that's coming up. All right.
Yeah, April 12th,
Oh,
yep.
be hearing something soon on that then, because they're gonna have to have a full camp for that. So to me, getting close.
Yeah, yeah.
Be cool. Okay. Hey, I'm fine with it. I understand why they're doing it. I just don't love the matchup. It's just one of those things. Some fights just don't. But I'm wrong all the time with that. So it just, you never know. What happens if Volk comes back and wins? Now you're doing a trilogy fight with them two
Yeah.
in Spain.
Then you held up the whole division for how long?
Yeah. Which that's the one shitty thing. Yeah, I do. Yeah, it sucks.
Yeah. Anyways,
That's that's great fight stuff.
back to yesterday's card. I don't know. Congratulations to Michael Venom Page. I think he's an amazing fighter, and I can't wait to see. So this will probably bring him into the. I think because Shara was 14, I believe. So he's right there. He'll have a top 10 matchup coming up, and we'll see how he
Okay.
fares with the top 10. And
For the for the sake of argument, Jim, what is the top 10 in middleweight right now?
all right, top
That will be next for
10
him, or like top
middleweight.
12, top 14.
All right,
He's gonna
top.
land somewhere where Shara was.
I'll do top 11. 11 is Paulo
Okay.
Costa, Roman
Okay.
Dolidze, Brendan Allen, Jared Cannonier at 8, Vittori at 7, Kyle Barallo at 6. Imavov's going to jump to number 2 because of Adesanya. So would that
Yep.
put Adesanya where he was at 5?
Somewhere around there, I'd
Yeah,
imagine.
probably. And then Robert Whitaker at 4, Chimaev at 3, and then Sean Strickland, obviously.
Okay. Brendan Allen fight makes sense. I think he's fighting someone coming up though, right? He might
I'm
be.
not sure. Yeah,
Not sure.
February 22nd, he's fighting Hernandez.
Okay, so that's coming up. So
Oh, he's
both
fighting
those guys
Seattle.
like to go. That's a good fight. That's a good fight for the Seattle card. Brendan Allen and was
Anthony
it Fluffy Hernandez
Hernandez.
you're talking about? Yeah, he's good. He's very good, dude. He's a tough out. Very skilled.
Shit, I want to go to that so bad, but it's fucking $300.
Too bad we couldn't have planned it out where I could have flew out for it and watched it when we could have went to it. That'd been cool.
I might still go up there, like I said, and go to like a bar and watch it or something. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, it's a cool atmosphere to be around it anyway. You never know. You might, if you look up, there's like a meet and greet there. You never know, Jim. You could get lucky, dude.
Yeah. All right. Well, yeah, we'll see what MVP does. It'll be interesting for sure. I mean, he didn't get hurt at all. I mean, he could fight, in the next couple months if he wanted to.
Sure, sure.
But the next fight, what'd you think of Pavlovich's performance against Rosenstrike? It was very
Oh,
one-sided.
it was. He looked good. Rosenstrike just didn't look like he ever seemed to get anything going. Pavlovich just kind of from the beginning. No, he looked really good, and he needed it too. Pavlovich talking about him, but yeah, it was a really good performance. Definitely one-sided. That wasn't. That was the one that I think it was snowing. I had to run out and just shovel a little bit.
Yeah.
I think I missed a good part of that, but I watched it again
Well,
today, and
I'll fill you in. Rosenstrike was on his back a lot.
he was, yeah,
He
and
needs to work on that for sure.
yeah, he's very much like a turtle when he's on his back, like which isn't. You gotta like, come on, man, you gotta try something. Like, there's certain guys you don't want to give certain positions. I understand, but you gotta create a scramble. You gotta create something.
Yeah.
Like, if you're gonna beat these top guys, because then they watch this tape and they keep seeing this pattern where you can't get off your back. What do you think fighters are gonna do? So, especially if you're a dangerous striker like him. So,
Yeah, you just
but
gave
no,
him the ticket to their W. If you,
yeah, pretty much. Just like I hope you get a ticket for Seattle, Jim. Go up there, dude. You might get lucky, dude. So that'd be awesome. Meet a fighter. They're like, "Do you want to go to the fight?" And be like, "Hell yeah, dude."
That would be cool.
So
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see.
I remember that one year when I went to Vegas and I went to that pool party. Misha Tate and her then time boyfriend, uh, Ryan Caraway. They were going to give me tickets, but I already purchased them. Like, I already had tickets, so I was like, I'll give them to someone that doesn't have any.
Yeah.
But thank you. But that the one time that I could have scored some free ones, dude.
Oh, that's
But
pretty cool.
they were wicked nice. Yeah, it was cool. It was
I
cool.
just don't know
But
how, because it's a fight night. Maybe because they haven't been to Seattle in like 12 years or something like that. Maybe they will do some cool like meet and greet things there.
you never know. Yeah, you never know, dude.
Yeah.
Sometimes they do. But
Also, I don't really know Seattle well enough to like know where they would be.
exactly, yeah. I would imagine they'd have on their website or something,
I don't
like
know. Well, I guess
social
if you
media.
follow the fighters on
Maybe.
their Instagram and they say, "Hey, I'm going to be at this place for a meet and greet the week of," I don't know.
Got to follow every fighter on the roster. That's all you got to do.
Man, I gotta,
So
I gotta do my due diligence here.
that's all you have to do in the next couple of weeks. That's all you have to do. No, not that big a deal. Just
Yeah,
every single fighter on the roster, follow them, follow their every move,
yeah,
and no, that's cool though. You should, like you said, even just go up there to watch the fights live at a sports bar. That's cool enough. That's what I
yeah.
like doing. That
That might be cool. Yeah, we'll see. I'll talk to the girlfriend, see what we can do.
do a nice
Um,
dinner and then watch the fights.
yeah. Let's get to the next one. We got Nurmagomedov versus Oliveira. This was a great fight.
One of my favorites for sure of the night.
Yeah,
That was a good one.
and I think he won Performance of the Night or something like that. Oliveira. I don't know.
That
I
fight,
That's two
you know,
Nurmagomedovs with losses in the last couple weeks.
don't usually see that.
No, you don't.
You don't. It's pretty wild. But that kind of speaks to how good everyone else is getting.
Yeah,
Just
Oliveira
there's
was
so many talented fighters. He's dangerous.
he was in his face the whole time, and I loved it. I was like, yes, this is, you put the pressure on, you give them offense,
Yeah,
and then they have to react. You move, you go first. That's like that.
for
Just
sure. You have
literally
to
by you going first, you know that could change the
give yourself
whole
a chance.
outcome. Yeah.
Yeah, you give yourself a chance, especially with how good Saeed is with his kicks. They come out of nowhere.
Oh,
Just
he's really,
honestly,
yeah.
just straight Zohan. Just out of nowhere, you got a kick to your head, dude. It's so.
And that happened
That's
a
what I
couple
was.
times too.
And he didn't even like. Oliveira just seemed to just be just unfazed by most, but he's a wild fighter, man.
Yeah.
He's fun to watch. I, that was definitely my favorite fight of the main card for sure, and then of the night probably.
Yeah, for sure. That was a great fight. And so yeah, he's three in a row now, at least.
Bantamweight, wow, bantamweight's becoming like another like mini Shark Tank like lightweight. I mean, they all are, you know what I mean. But
Yeah.
bantamweight's another one that really is highlighted a lot. It's odd when there's a lot of great fighters in 135 in very close proximity in that top 15.
Yeah, Jose Aldo's still lurking back there at number 11. Chito Vera.
It's a fun division. So it'd be interesting to see what's next for him because it would probably be a pretty big name figure. I think either guy was going to get pretty solid step up by winning this matchup.
Yeah, good for him, man. Looking forward to see what he's going to do next. What'd you think of the first fight of the main card? Zayam and
He
Mike
just he
Davis.
looked he looked he looked like he was just a step ahead of everything for the most part.
Yeah.
I don't know if it seemed like the Mike Davis. I'm not saying like not to do it, but it just seemed like he was going a little too grappling heavy, and I think it kind of backfired. I kind of like his boxing. I wanted to see a little more of that, but it might have just been the looks that Zion might just be that good because it looks like a lot of fighters don't fight like they normally do when they fight him. That you see it, and it might be just him.
Yeah, yeah.
He's very difficult to deal with.
You see how his
Uh,
leg was bent like backwards in that one
yeah,
exchange on the
crazy.
ground? That was crazy. There
Yeah,
was a
that was nuts.
lot of blood too. Mike Davis was bleeding hard.
Yep, it was. But it was a good fight. It was a good showcase of that. Like I said, I think Zion really is the real deal. So he's another guy that's probably going to get a pretty good step up in competition coming up. Which lightweight, it's like, man, good luck to you. That division's wild. So
And he's also like body type wise, he's like the perfect type of body type for fighting. Like he's very lanky, tall. I don't
yep,
remember what his reach is, but yeah, I like him. I don't know. I'm starting to like that guy.
yeah, he's really talented. I don't know where he kind of falls in the division, but it'd be interesting to see who they give to him next.
His nickname is the Smile Killer.
Not the best, but
Not the best.
it's like one of those. It's like one of those nicknames you translate, and then when you translate, it doesn't sound quite cool.
Yeah, it was
But
French.
when you hear
What's
it in
that
the
in
original,
French?
yeah, yeah. Here, you do. Let's see what's next. What do you think would be next for him? While I look up what that means.
Well, I don't know because he wasn't ranked, but
That's it. Yeah. So I don't know where he falls.
let's say he gets into the top 15. Lightweight rankings are just going to be insane. Um, Benoit Saint Denis is 14. Jalen Turner, Paddy Pimblett, Fazeev,
Okay.
Moicano, Dariush, Gamrot, Chandler, Hooker, Holloway, Poirier, Gaethje, Oliveira, and Sarukian.
I don't know if that's too big a jump, but I would love a Moicano Zion matchup. That sounds like a very good, interesting clash in style.
Well, I think a lot of people. I think I saw someone say Jalen Turner would be good too, and I kind of agree with that.
That okay. That's cool. That might be even better
And he's
because it's not.
13.
Moicano's had some big fights already, so maybe not quite yet for him.
Yeah, because Moicano's a
But
10.
Jim, I also have found it's Latour Surratt is the smile killer, I believe. I don't know if I pronounce it right, but Latour Surratt. So,
Yeah, that sounds way cooler than Smile Killer.
hey, you said it, not me. But no, hey, that's a he's a very good fighter. So I'm looking forward to seeing who he fights next.
So let's go over some of the. Oh, dude, we have to talk about Terrence McKinney.
Yeah, that dude's a man.
That was my second favorite fight of the night. I think Terrence McKinney looked great. He beat the shit out of that guy, and I like Terrence McKinney, man. And I didn't know he's from Spokane, Washington.
That's
That's
cool.
kind of
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, he fights like he's fighting inside a burning house. He doesn't have a lot of time. Like
Yeah,
he's just like he's just like it's gonna go down now because it has to because his house is going up.
yeah.
Like,
He's like, believe it or not, I'm doing you a favor. We got to get out of here.
yeah, I will drag you out after, but we have to finish this now. So he
That's
really
funny.
does. It's like man, and it's backfired a couple times because it's just that's the UFC. It's you say it over and over. That the level of competition is so crazy. But he just fights like crazy, like right away, man. Once he hears that bell, dude, it's like he's fighting for food.
That's
Dude,
crazy. Yeah, he's
he's
awesome.
aggressive.
He's great.
He is.
And then Gaziv, he looked amazing. He knocked out Peterson in the first round, right?
That was beautiful. Yeah.
Which actually Thomas Peterson's pretty good too. And that I thought that was going to be a banger, and it was. It just went, one way. And I thought Gaziv was going to win anyways because he's been pretty dominant in his past couple fights. So
His right straight's really, really good. It's like a piston, dude.
he's got a great jab too.
Yep, that's what sets it up. Because he really does set people up perfectly with that shot. And it just seemed like once he got like kind of a range on the dude, he might have been a little closer to the dude to Peterson than he thought he was, and it's already too late because like he has a long like straight right too. So he's a big dude.
And his only
He's
losses to
very skilled.
Rosenstrike.
Was that a decision or did he get clipped? I can't remember.
It was KO fourth round.
Okay. I don't remember. Okay. I don't remember that fight. I want to say that might have been the fight that they were referencing that he broke his. I think he broke his right hand in the fight. Recent. That's why he's like, you didn't get to see. I don't know if it was that one or not, but yeah, he's good. So that's another one that he's gonna be right up there getting big fights. You never know. Maybe they get. Where is he? Would a rematch with Rosenstrike make sense? Since Rosenstrike's coming off a loss.
Maybe, depending on what happened in that first fight. If you're right, if he broke his hand or something.
Yeah,
In the
that makes more sense.
heavyweight, you could do kind of whatever you wanted because people move up so quickly in heavyweight. Like you got,
That's true.
who do you got? Rosenstrike's at number 9, Gaziv's at number 14. So yeah, I mean, you could do a good one for him. Might be like Tai Tuivasa at 11.
That one.
Tybura is at 8. That might be a good one. I
And
mean,
to
Derek Lewis is
and
at
to
10.
ooh, okay, with plenty of matchups for him coming up. But also, so that just to say it real quick, it might not have been Rosenstrike's fight because he fought Dontel Mays after Rosenstrike. It was probably one of those two. I remember them saying it. I just don't want to take away the win from Rosenstrike. Be like it's because of that. It's not. I don't know if he was even that fight. It was one of those two. But
Oh yeah. I'm just saying it
so the
depends on what
rematch would make sense
if
if
that did happen in that fight, then okay, yeah, a
that
rematch
makes
makes
sense.
sense. But if I was Gaziv, I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna. Well, unless you want to get the loss back, but I might not want to fight a guy that knocked me out. I'm gonna go fight.
If I broke my hand, my best weapon, yeah, I would though.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Only if that happened. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
yeah. Or I mean, you look at some of those guys, see what they got going on. Like,
That's
well,
you said that, buddy.
yeah, I
You
did.
call up these guys, see what's going on. You sound kind of like GSP, dude.
Yeah. Or Yuri, yeah, that.
Yeah, yeah. Dude, Yuri's so funny. He's like my village, dude. I cry, I laugh every time when he says my village.
Yeah,
Dude, he's the man. He's cool. He's even though he lost twice to Pereira, I think he's might be his most dangerous fight every time, just because of the way he thinks. Because he does make the right changes.
for sure.
You could tell that he's gotten better and improved, and so. But I'm sorry. So Gaziv, you were talking about?
Yeah, I mean, he could just. There's so many options there, like right around the number 10 spot in heavyweight that, you know, see what see what other options there are, and something might line up better than a rematch, but we'll see. I'll watch him anyways. He's a great fighter, so I love seeing knockouts. Let's go.
Yeah,
um,
he brings forward action.
yeah. Some other people we should talk about. I think that I don't know how to say her last name, but Jasmine from Montreal. She fought
Jazz
a
Division.
Yeah, she fought a great fight against Bueno Silva.
Yeah, she's good.
So I'm
Yeah,
looking
she's a
forward
good.
to see what she does next because she looked great. Like she was super well rounded, super comfortable in there. There was nothing Bueno Silva could do to her. It was a really stellar performance on her part. So
Very much bullied her. Like just was in her face and making it very uncomfortable. But
yeah,
she looks like she has very good. She seems like she's very strong compared to her opponents, and I don't think they're ready for like a just general aggression. Some fighters just aren't. They don't want that right away. And someone that doesn't get out of your face and you can't get him out of your face. That's got to be if you're not used to that and you're not training that way, like the same way. You know what I mean? There's certain. I think there's probably still people that probably don't maybe train as hard going in
uh
for
huh,
that reason because they don't want to get hurt, but then they're not ready for that blitz because that guy
yeah,
that's
yeah,
been going hard the whole. It's probably a very tough balance
yeah. It's a
not
fine
to work
line.
yourself too hard. Yeah, that's one of the toughest parts probably that we don't like no one really knows about because they don't really talk about it as much. But yeah,
And I'm
she
sure
looked
every
really
fighter
good
is
there.
different too of what they can handle and what they can't, and how training affects them. I'm sure everyone's
Yeah,
different. They just have to find a different balance depending on who the fighter is and how they react to it. And then over time, I'm sure you get older, over the years, and that's you just constantly have to work on that balance, and it changes all the time. And yeah, certain circumstances in
sure.
life will change it, and who
Yeah,
knows?
exactly. Like you're human, so it's like you have a personal life too. So it's like does your personal life affect and dictate certain things, and you just never know.
Yeah,
Like if you
some of
can't
them
train as much, your life
some of
doesn't
them
allow it.
move away for training. They're like, the next 3 months
Yeah,
I'm going to
yeah.
Florida.
Because you could, if you could train you could be like, I'm training once a day, but then that guy that has nothing else in his life but this is training 2, 3 times a day most days.
Yeah.
Figure all the reps he's getting in that you're not like. So you never know. Like that's kind of the point. You never know what's going on for anyone behind all the stuff we see.
Yeah.
We just see the performance. Like he looked flat, and it's like you don't really know what was going on. Right? But back to no, Jasudavicius. We got to get that name down, Jim. But
Sounds
she looked
right.
really good, man. Dude, I think I just butchered it, but
And then Bogdan Grad. I
yeah,
think he
I
got a
saw. I remember
performance
him.
bonus.
Well deserved. He was he had one of the better fights on the Contender Series. Um, definitely in that season, but
Oh,
I mean,
okay.
probably in general, it would be worth going back to watch it. It would be let me find, so it would be the one he had against what is this gentleman's name, Jimbo? Michael Aswell Jr. And that was season 8, week 3. It was his last fight right before this debut he had, which he looked really good, man. Because that Lucas Alexander,
Okay.
dangerous striker that he fought, right? But did you see that one? Did you
Yeah.
watch?
Yeah, I watched it. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, because that dude, he doesn't have like a great MMA record, but that Brazilian dude, Lucas Alexander, fights that he's a dangerous striker. He had like a kickboxing. I think they said over 100 amateur kickboxing matches. So he brought a lot of like danger, and that dude fought a perfect fight for someone like that. He just made him more ugly, took him down, and just beat him up, you know.
Yeah.
But I'd go back and watch that one, Jim, for sure. That was a crazy fight, and it was a split decision.
Oh,
So
wow. Huh. Okay.
like the dude he fought was 9-2. So I would imagine that we'll probably see this dude next summer in the Contender Series, probably trying to do what Bogdan Grad just did to him. Like
Yeah, yeah.
you'd probably see him with another shot at it. Uh, that was August 27 of 2024. Okay, and that dude just won a title, so he was probably feeling like, holy shit, yeah, yeah, he just won a title. So I bet you will see that dude next season. But yeah, no, Bogdan Grad looked really good, man.
Yeah, he looked good. He's
Just
got that weird.
another,
He reminds me kind of like of Yuri. Doesn't he do like the whole
yeah,
sword thing? He pulls the sword out.
yeah. Like
Interesting.
a lot of those guys do like stuff that like a 6-year-old does when they're thinking like I'm a samurai. You know what I mean? Like I'm
Yeah,
not
yeah,
even
yeah.
making fun. It just looks funnier for
Oh
whatever
god.
reason with the language barrier.
Yeah.
Um, when someone does that, um, you see like a 6-year-old do that. You're like, hell yeah, dude, you're a samurai. Yeah, yeah, you are. You know,
Just after he
it's the
finished
same.
watching Ninja Turtles, he's like, "I'm Leonardo. Here we go."
You're like, dude, hell yeah, you have 2 swords. Remember, put 2 away, dude. Boom, boom. Yeah, you got it, dude.
That's funny.
No,
That's
he.
hilarious.
Yeah, but Bogdan Grad, dude, he looks like he's pretty well rounded, and I might even rewatch that fight. But I definitely recommend you should, if you're in the mood for one later on. That fight he had with Michael Aswell Jr. was really good.
Okay, yeah. I'll check it out. Let's do a quick preview of next week's UFC 312 in Australia. I don't know, just if you want, just go through them and what you're looking for. Because a lot of people are saying this card's not that great. And granted, we did have a year full of amazing cards, so we've been spoiled lately. But I don't think it looks bad. I think it's going to be a pretty good card. What are you seeing when you look at this?
No, I don't think for whatever reason to a lot of people that Duplessis Strickland matchup doesn't have as much buzz as it does. Like I'm excited for it, but I don't kind of get where people are coming from. But I always look at the card from like the middle and then out. Like you look at you'll see a card with a good main event and a good co-main, but then you look at the middle and you're like, it's good,
Yeah.
but this one has a really good middle. Is kind of my point. That's why I don't agree with people say that you got like so like a couple of first pay-per-view. That's kind of what I'll do. I'll look at like the first couple pay-per-view fights because a lot of times they piggyback off of big fights and the main event's great, but the first couple pay-per-view ones are like, these are good fights, but I don't think they're like pay-per-view fights, if you know what I mean.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
you look at
Yeah.
like you see Jimmy Crute on there against Rodolfo Malato. I like that fight a lot. And then Jake Matthews and Prado, I like that a lot.
Yeah, that's going to
That's
be
the
good.
first fight of the pay-per-view. Then you look at like Jack Jenkins and Gabriel Santos. That's a really good one. Tom Nolan and was it Slavy Klaus, as they call him?
Yeah.
He's,
Yep.
he's from Team Alpha Male. That's going to be a really good fight. So that middle, and then you have that Wang Kong. I think she was stopped in her last, but she was the one that knockout, which is kind of like the shocking ones when it's like a women's flyweight and then one punch knocks someone out cold. You don't see that a lot. That was one of her fights. The one against Victoria Leonardo. Remember that one? It was like first minute.
Oh yeah, yeah, yep. I remember that.
Yep. So she was submitted. That was a wild one. Do you remember that one? Because was it, Gabriela Fernandez. She was a big underdog in that fight, and then she ended up taking her back and choking her out, I believe.
No, I
That was
don't
like that
remember
was a
that one.
crazy. And then is Alexandra Topuria? Is that any relation to Ilir
I think
Topuria?
so. I
Do you
think
know?
so.
Okay,
Let me look it up.
because I know he has a brother, but I know he has an older brother that probably at one point trained or did something, but he's not. I don't think he's an active MMA fighter. I think he's more kind of like a coach of Topuria. I just don't think, and he looks like Topuria's size or bigger, so I don't know if he's a bantamweight. Maybe he has a younger brother.
Huh. I don't know. It doesn't say on this website.
That also could just be a common last name in Georgia, maybe.
Yeah, I don't know.
I wonder. But yeah, that's kind of how I look at those cards. And that's why I think that those like last two, like the main event of the prelims, if you will, like those last two couple fights, and paired with the pay-per-view first couple, that's how I start to look at cards if they're like really good. I still think this card's really good. It's just not like like I think to the casual fan, they saw if they saw these fights flipped, like if you had Duplessis and Strickland say fight yesterday, and then you had Imavov and Adesanya fight next weekend in that main event, I think you get a whole different like feeling of the card just because of the superstar. Like if people just want to see a superstar on the card,
Yeah,
and
for
they don't
sure.
see that, when they don't see that, they feel a certain way about a card. I watch it from the beginning, like that's exciting. Like I'm making like a coffee at 6:30 when the first fight's on. I'm like, hell yeah, let's go. Like I want to see the whole card. Um, and I think this card's going to deliver, dude, because that there's going to pick up where they left off. It's going to be round 6. I don't think there's going to be much of a feel out for the most part. And I think that main event's going to be a great fight. And I always love watching Wei Lee fight. And this is a cool style matchup. With Tatiana Suarez you know what she wants to do, and she's really good at it. So I just want to see if she can do that to Wei Lee.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting, man. I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, and I agree with you. I think like
To pick them.
especially like the main prelim and that first fight of the night in the pay per view.
Yeah.
Those are usually the bangers.
We
Dana
talk
White
about
and
that.
those. Yeah, they're
Yeah.
Dana White's so good about that, and it makes sense too. Like it's like you start the main card off with a banger, and you're like, all right, I'm ready. Whatever happens after
Yeah.
this is just icing on the cake because that fight was awesome.
And you also have to keep in mind some people that they have a little bit of money, they want to order the fight. They're thinking about it. They're like, I don't know. I don't really want to see X, Y, this fight or that fight. But then they watch that last prelim fight. And
Oh yeah,
you have a couple drinks, go to the pizza, Jim, the pizza they got there. And you see a crazy fight, and you're like, hell yeah, you just hit order. Some people do operate that way.
yeah,
So
yeah,
you
for
want to
sure.
put the best fights in place for that. Um, where I'm gonna probably order it today, Jim. Get the early bird special. So
Nice.
you got to get the early bird special, Jim. But I have to do that. But I'm looking forward to it, man. I don't really agree with people when they say that the card's like a bad card. I don't think those really exist quite much like they used to. There used to be pretty underwhelming cards, pay-per-view cards. Say, what do you think, Jim? 5, 10 years ago,
Yeah,
there would be
definitely.
pay-per-view cards where you're like, there's a little less on this one, or a lot less.
You mean like
That's
every Conor McGregor card?
it, see, that's the thing. People don't really. Those are the highest grossing ones, but then you look at like some of the middle. I remember there being a lot of fights that weren't that great in there.
Yeah.
Um, it doesn't mean that can't happen anytime, but it's a good point. It's a important point to make. Sometimes it's don't make it top heavy like boxing. Well, that's what I don't like about boxing. They don't promote. They don't do anything for any of those other fights. They just have one fight, and it's just that's what people want to watch.
Yeah.
Where I like the event. You know,
Well,
that's what UFC
here's the
does
other
well.
thing too. When UFC goes to other countries like Australia, you gotta think like there's a lot of fighters from Australia on the card, and they do that on purpose. So, in like London coming up and all that, like that's why some of those cards are so great because they're not just out there trying to like fight for their career and where they're gonna stack up next in the rankings. They're also fighting at like at the stadium they grew up going to see other things at. You know, they're like, oh shit, I
Mhm.
get to fight in this stadium that's been in my childhood and all this and all that. You know, like for their countrymen are going to come out and see them and support them. It's like a totally different thing, which I think only leads to better performances, right? So that's something to look forward to too. I mean, like guys like Justin Tafa and Jack Jenkins and Jimmy Crute and all that, you know, like they're going to be fighting for Australia, not just them, you know?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Tafa, Crute, Matthews, Jack Jenkins, Tom Nolan. There's a lot of Australia. I keep forgetting that too. Almost every fight for the most part has a lad from
A lad.
Australia. I know it's not the right term, but I just love that term, lad.
Yeah.
It's fun to use.
Laddie.
So, and now I'm recognizing some of the now I'm recognizing some of the names too. Like I remember Jonathan McAuliffe. Wow, I struggled saying that. McAuliffe. I do remember him. I think it was from Contender Series. Now that I'm looking at like some of the names and faces, Cody Steele, I remember from Contender Series. I believe Quillen Salkhalid. I think he
Oh yeah,
also
because
wasn't. He was really good.
they did one or two episodes in Australia, didn't they? In the last Contender Series.
I don't know. I just know there's been a big wave of Australian fighters coming over, which makes me wonder when. I think that one of the next ones we might see a lot of might be maybe South Africa. I know they've been talking a lot of South African MMA is really strong, so
Yeah.
we might start seeing some of those more. But
Yeah.
definitely a lot of Australian fighters have been coming out lately.
For sure. Yeah.
If you see it on this card, because a lot of these guys are definitely, like the Jimmy Crutes and Jake Matthews, they're like a little more established, even though they're still young in their career. But like Tom Nolan, he's just getting going. So I want to see him. That's one of the ones I really, really excited to see how he comes as he like kind of matures in the UFC. Let's see what he is. I'm trying to think how old he was. Yeah, 24. He's still real young, dude.
Wow. Yeah.
And then that dude, Francisco Prado, the Argentinian guy that's fighting Jake Matthews,
Yep.
he's only 22, but he's like just scratching the surface, and he fights like a pit bull, dude. Have you ever seen him?
I don't know who did he fight last.
See, but he fights very aggressive.
Fight history.
Daniel Zellhuber by decision,
Oh
so you know
yeah,
how
I
good
did
he
see
is.
that.
Yeah, that probably wasn't his best fight because I mean Zellhuber's really good. I think he fought a great fight against him, but that dude is I mean it's under his fighting style it says street fighting gym. So um,
He kind of looks like Drew Dober a little. His face, you know, the jaw
yeah,
thing he's got going on there.
Argentinian Argentinian Drew Dober, dude. That's his nickname, I think. Let me look it up.
All in all, I think we're
Yeah,
looking forward to this pay per view, even if other people aren't. And I would encourage people to go order it because it's going to be a good one. Dude, they're fighting for Australia. They're fighting for their lads. You know?
oh yeah, dude. It's big. It's big. But
Yeah.
is it okay to look ahead for a second?
Sure. Yeah.
I had just seen definitely one. It's really two, but the main one was did you see that Bruno Silva Joshua Van fight that's right underneath Pereira Ankalaev and Gaethje Hooker on that card? That's a great
Oh
matchup.
yeah. 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 Yeah.
That Bruno's, you know who? I mean, you
Yeah,
talk about
Fighting
another guy who's
Nerds.
really young. Is Bruno Silva with them as well?
Oh no, I'm thinking John Silva or
John. So yeah. No, this dude, I don't think he is, but he's really good. His last fight, um, Manel Cape knocked him out. Remember that? It was a really good. That dude's really good. It's just, I think there was. I'm trying to think of the fight that I saw
oh
him
yeah yeah
first. I don't
yeah,
know.
I remember him. Yep.
Cody Durden. The what he did to Cody Durden, that's a tough thing to do too. Um, because Durden's really tough. But Joshua Van, talk about another young guy. He's 23.
Oh, but speaking of Fighting Nerds, on that same card you got King Green and Mauricio Hoofy.
That's on the same. Wow, that card is that card. So I say that's probably your first pay per view fight.
Yeah, probably. King Green's
That
got
would
to be
make
on the
sense,
pay per
right?
view.
And then fight with Hoopy. That's a crazy matchup.
Oh,
All right, cool.
Lucindo, that's going to be a great fight. And Amanda Lemos.
Lemos. Yep. That's really good. Myron Santos is really good. He was like the Ultimate Fighter. And you've seen Francis Marshall. That's a great matchup.
Yeah.
It's just a really good card. So I know we will talk about it, but it's
Who's this?
as you're seeing it like kind of shape. It's a great card.
Jean Matsumoto. He's
Yeah,
undefeated.
he's really good. That was the other one I was gonna say. Chris Gutierrez, because Gutierrez is really good. So that's a great matchup. This card is stacked, dude. So that would be my argument because that card's way more stacked than next weekend is. No disrespect.
Yeah. March
But
8th.
that card is definitely more loaded, I feel. Not to say that the
Well,
next
shit.
weekend, but next weekend's card is going to deliver because it's going to be chaos with the like whenever you have like countrymen fighting in their country with their countrymen surrounded by them. That's why I love those England cards, Brazil. Like they're always great, dude.
Oh, and Josh Van, dude. I forgot this guy.
Yep, that's the one. Yeah, and Bruno Silva. That's a great fight.
Wow, that's going to be awesome.
That
I'm going
that
Josh
should
Van.
be.
I think Josh Van's going to win that one.
I agree, and I say do that as the main event prelim. Like perfect fight, dude.
Yeah. Damn.
You have Gaethje and Hooker on that. Oh my god, dude. Gaethje and Hooker's one of those ones. You know when the fight. You know when it's like, all right, it's time for the next fight, and it pops up the graphic of the two fighters.
Yeah.
That's that when you're sitting on the couch and you go, fuck, like,
Yep.
here we go. That one's
Shit.
that one's gonna be wild, dude. You know what? I try to. Oh, that'd be sick, dude. I'll just randomly fly out and visit you at that for that.
Well, I'm going to be out. I'm going to be out with you a couple days
The
later.
next day, dude. Who cares, dude? When in Rome. That's a crazy fight card, man. I'm looking
Yeah.
forward to that one.
All right, but we should wrap this up. Yeah,
Sounds good, man.
there are a ton of. What did they say? I think I saw online there are 11 straight weeks of fights
I'll
for
get back to
UFC.
it.
So
I missed it. So when it's out, I hate when it's out that long,
yeah,
dude. It went from December 14th to January 11th. That's too long, Jim.
yeah, it's a long time. But we're back, baby. It's 2025. We'll see what happens, man. It's gonna be great. But we will be back next week. I think. Do you like just doing the one post? Does that work for you?
Sure. The post work, yeah.
Yeah.
Just the post work.
Okay, so we'll just do posts then, and so we'll be back probably. Well, we got Super Bowl Sunday next week, but we could do one in the morning depending on the time, or we could wait till Monday afternoon. We'll figure it out. We'll be back next week with a post of UFC 312 in Australia with Duplessis fighting Sean Strickland. That should be good, and yeah, we'll see what happens.
Looking forward to it too. Yeah, it's gonna be great.
All right, man. I will talk to you next week. And for everyone listening, thank you for supporting us and checking it out. We appreciate it. Tell someone that you know that likes MMA and boxing and all that to listen if that you haven't already. And share it on social media if you can. It's at Pinnacle_combat. That's where you can find our YouTube and our Instagram. And yeah, I look forward to next week, man. Thank you for doing this as always, and we'll talk next week.
Sounds good. Thank you as well, man. Always a pleasure, Jim. Looking forward to next weekend.
All right. Peace.